Will Brock Purdy be named the starting quarterback if he wins the Super Bowl?
No.
Why?
Well,
how's this going to work? It's a delicate situation.
No, it's not. I think that, first of all, the Niners have shown us that they don't even get down like this. They don't handle business like this.
They just won't say all offseason, right? What do you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, this is right. Like that's.
Huh?
I mean, if they held on to Jimmy this long without saying a word, like, come on, no. I also believe that the investment in Trey and what they're doing for Trey is for the long haul, and I'm gonna tell you why. There's a reason why I believe, this is just an opinion, that the players like Brock so much is that he's Jimmy 2.0. I think that he's more athletic. He processes the ball much faster and he gets the ball out. But also what he is he's younger and he's cheap.
And he runs that offense. Trey, you have to install the zone read and 11-on-11 football. And with Brock, you just run the same offense.
Yeah, and with Brock being cheap, that means that everybody else gets paid.
Right.
I also believe that with Brock kind of being like, the tag along, so to speak, and the distributor, that leaves just enough room for everybody to have enough cachet for people to negotiate and to, really put their foothold on this team. Trey Lance is a representation of him being the main guy. You can't be George Kittle talking about how great of a game you had with Trey Lance having that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody is looking for Trey Lance to actually carry the team forward into what we want to do, because I feel like we like Brock because we're comparing him to Jimmy, because Brock is better than Jimmy.
Right.
And when you compare Brock to Jimmy,
instantly.
How could you not like him?
With Trey, it was like, he'll be better than Jimmy, but he's going to need to play for a little while because he doesn't have experience. And it's like, and the team was not willing to take that one step back to take a few steps forward. And that's fair. I mean, it's a veteran team. I get it. And that's why when they made the trade for Trey, even though I like him very much and I believe that he can reach his potential, I always felt that it was an awkward fit with the Niners. It's two timelines, kind of like the Warriors. It's two timelines. You got a team that's ready to go and a player who needs like growing pains. Like, this locker room isn't going to accept his growing pains. And the great thing about Brock is he has none so far. None.
This is the thing. Like, I feel like 4 games is really foolish. Even 6 more games is really foolish to make a decision on who your starter is when you have that much invested.
It's true.
Because one of the things is that I hate to put a wet towel on this, but context, Grant. I mean, what if we win the Super Bowl? How do we win the Super Bowl?
That's a good point.
What happens?
That's why these hypotheticals are so hard, man. They're so freaking hard. But let me just ask you this. Let's say he wins this. Let's do an hypothetical. Let's just say he wins the Super Bowl and plays well enough and isn't a huge liability. How do you put Trey Lance back as a starter and be like, you know what, Brock, thank you very much. We're sticking with Trey as our starter, and you're still here. You'll be our backup, and you'll get another chance in the future. That'd be a tough sell to the locker room. It'd be a tough sell.
No.
So how do you handle it? Do you have a competition or just give it back to Trey?
No, I think no. Well, at the end of the day, the latest tape is the most important tape.
Okay.
So if
whoever plays better in camp.
Yeah. If Brock Purdy goes to the Super Bowl, there has to be a quarterback competition.
What if he's a Super Bowl MVP? What if he's freaking Kurt Warner, man? Because so far, I mean, his numbers are nice.
His numbers are better than Jimmy's.
Yeah. I mean,
they're better than Jimmy's.
They are.
All right. That's what we can say. We didn't get Trey for better than Jimmy. That's not what we're here for.
That's a good point. You got Trey for Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen.
Well, no, I think we got Trey. I mean, if you look at our
for that
team,
kind of upside,
our team is unusually loaded. You can't expect to have a team like that year in and year out.
No.
And because of that, when that money starts shifting, I hate to put it to people, but we're not going to find another Trent Williams when it's time for him to go.
Right.
That's a rare player.
Also, Nick Bosa's about to get like 4 times more expensive.
Come on.
He's like the biggest bargain in the league right now.
And because of that, you would be smart to start getting to start supplanting that money in other places, like a quarterback who's way better than what you're working with. Like Brock Purdy works now, but if what Brock Purdy is giving you right now is what you can sell the farm on, then we're in trouble because we're not going to have the number one defense every year.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have just loaded players at every time. It's not going to go down that way all the time. That's not football. You know, right now, Brock Purdy's great in a vacuum for what we have. And I know that's very hard to not look ahead, but I'm just happy with the development that we've done right now. And to be honest with you, we have to scout Brock Purdy for what he's doing right now, because if we scouted Brock Purdy for being a starter, then we don't even draft Brock Purdy. We got Brock Purdy based off of his skill set, and it just so happened that his skill set's working out.
What he reminds me of a lot, I compared him to Kurt Warner. He has nothing in common with Kurt Warner physically. He actually reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson. He's not as quick as Russell Wilson was. He doesn't have as strong of an arm as Russell Wilson, but the way he slid into a team that was ready to go. It just didn't have the quarterback, and the defense was great. The running game was great, and he was the missing. It's like he didn't carry Seattle, Russell Wilson, but you put him on that team when he's making like $900K. It's like, oh well, there you go. This guy is the missing piece, and they're tough to beat now. I feel like Purdy's the same way. He's making plays, he's extending plays, he's getting the ball down the field a little, not like Russell Wilson used to do, but it's kind of this. So, do you want to give Brock Purdy $50 million a year in the future? I don't know about that, but if he's making what he's making now, you can put your money into everything else. You can have this team for a few more years. That's why this Brock Purdy window, theoretically, is so intriguing. But at the same time, Trey's cheap too. So you can have this team with. I think you need two quarterbacks now. Coach, do you think you need two quarterbacks now?
No, I heard that before. I think that's
you need
two.
Ridiculous.
I think
we can't find anything we agree about today.
We're never gonna. I'm just no. I don't think that you need two quarterbacks because I think you develop for what your team needs. You know, Brock Purdy wasn't developed with being like in a two quarterback system.
No, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant.
Yeah,
not a two.
When you say system. If you need two quarterbacks, that's what I think.
A guy who you actually are counting on to start some games that year because quarterbacks seem to get hurt more and more. Yeah, it's true.
That's what a backup is.
It's true. I guess so.
Yeah, right. Like,
yeah. I guess. But there's like two classes of backups. There's the C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins backup, where it's like it almost feels like you're tanking. Okay. And then there's the like really gifted backup who you're semi-invested in. I guess that's the difference. Because it almost felt like C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins were the human tanks. And it's I think kind of like C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins are the bad side of what you want out of a backup. You know, right? So I good
think
numbers, lots of losses.
Yeah, like I think like a very strong guy who had like starter. You know who
DTR
Brock Purdy kind of reminds me of?
Who?
Honestly, Chase McDaniels. I'm Chase Daniel, not McDaniel. Chase Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah. When Chase Daniel was with Mizzou, he had the same kind of body type. I think Chase Daniel has a stronger arm than Brock Purdy, but very smart, very heady, knows where to go with the ball. Just he doesn't pop. He's gonna get hurt. You know, he's
true. I was gonna say Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew's not as. I mean, Brock Purdy's not as good as Gardner Minshew.
Ooh, okay.
Gardner Minshew. Have you looked at Gardner Minshew's numbers? You see what Gardner Minshew can do?
I've seen Gardner Minshew play. Yeah.
Gardner Minshew can throw that thing. He can lay. Yeah, he got a much stronger arm than Brock Purdy.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying? Listen.
They might hit each other in the playoffs.
I know that the chat is probably killing me for that, but I'm interested in what Brock can do game by game. I understand that Brock was ready for his opportunity, and I'm rooting for him. If he ends up being our guy, you won't hear anything.
But to my point, though, all I'm saying is you like Minshew, okay? I like Jalen Hurts. Eagles have two quarterbacks that they can feel confident about. That like, hey, we have a great team, and everything's not going to fall apart if we got this guy on the field. The Niners need to feel that way, and I think that's great that they have Trey Lance, and I would even say, hey, bring in DTR if you can, too. Like, the more the merrier, because frankly, you're on your third quarterback this year. Be honest about yourself.
Yeah, but that's kind of that's a freak situation.
I know stuff happens in football. But that's all the more reason.
I'll give you this. The Niners were ready. They were ready. And when you coach your team, not just for the guys that are going to be on the field, but from the top to the very bottom, this is what you can be prepared for going through a season. It's a journey. and you got to ride through it. And just so happens that we got called on our third guy, and he was ready. And to be honest with you, I'm not gonna go conspiracy theory, but it's no mistake that he was scouted throughout his whole career and then trained at the QB Collective, which is owned by Richmond Flowers and ran by Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan.
That's right.
He put on that extra 5 mile per hour on his arm and fixed out some of his mechanics at Kyle Shanahan's camp. That's not to be missed.
Yeah.
That's good coaching.
We got to wrap up this show, but I want to bring it back to the beginning. We had a very rousing debate. It was one of the best debates on my channel ever about Kyle Shanahan's legacy. And I'm saying, look, I still have reservations. But what I also said is if he wins the Super Bowl, he's a legend. Think about it. This is the most interesting season I've ever covered. If he wins the Super Bowl and one day I have kids and they're 15, 20 and they're like, hey, Dad, what was the 2022 Niners like? I mean, where it starts and ends with Kyle's the first coach ever who won a Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. Let me tell you a story about Brock Purdy. That's it. That's the story of Kyle Shanahan. That's where his legend starts. No one's going to give a shit about Atlanta or the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl. It's where his legacy starts. This is huge for him. So I'm not trying to downplay this season at all. This is the most remarkable season I've ever covered, and frankly, I hope it doesn't end anytime soon. I'm really enjoying it. And I've been talking about this with my dad. I want to cover a champion. I never have. He covered 5. Yeah. I've covered Fugazis. Things that look close to it but weren't. And I would love to.
Are you Kyle's Greg Cosell?
I'd love to be. Absolutely.
Are you Kyle's Greg Cosell?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. So that one day I hope, when he's got 4 or 5 championships and he's 65 and I'm 55 and I run into him at the owners meetings, we can toast to each other and say, hey man, I covered you. He's growing.
You were tough. He's growing.
You were tough.
The fourth.
What did you say? You called it a
process of maturity. Like he's maturing.
That was it.
He's got to mature. You know what I'm saying?
I do feel like Brock is bringing out the best in him, which is nice.
Yeah.
You know how Andy Reid looks at Mahomes and has total trust in him? It feels like Kyle looks at Purdy, not like that, but at least with that level of trust right now. Now, Purdy could throw 1 pick in the first playoff game and it could all go away. I don't know where Kyle's coming from, but right now, it works. It works.
I mean, it does work, and it
works.
And to be honest with you, even without Trey, I have to be honest, it is good to see Kyle just call his offense.
Yep.
There is a difference. It's been a while.
It feels like it's been since Atlanta.